do as far as
Right. So, okay, good. So we're already live. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Sunday evening, it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time almost. We're here again to have a conversation with you. Today we're gonna just start a inch into civic a little bit. What democracy looks should look like, especially in Liberia. What is the responsibility of the government? And then we will start with Peter. But first, let me do this. I have your constitution or our constitution before me. Okay. The declaration is here, but the preamble is what I would like to start off with, if at all. Okay. It states here, oh, I'm so blind. We, the people of the Republic of Liberia, okay, that's it right there, acknowledge our devout gratitude to God and for our existence as a free, sovereign, and independent state. I'll stop right here, Peter. I see people already coming on.
yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. Today's going to be a really brief conversation, but wanted to talk about the responsibility of our government and the things that we're hearing now about how we have a good leader because he's spending money on building overpass road, bridges, and building roads. When the truth of the matter is, the first thing that matters is what the Constitution starts with: the people. The preamble starts with, which is the people. Um, and the biggest aspect of that is, again, going back to the preamble in the sixth, seventh, and eighth, Article 6, 7, and 8 in the preamble of the Constitution is the government supposed to provide and promote for the general welfare of the people.
Welfare of the people, correct.
And when those articles talk about general welfare of the people, they it pretty much talks about how the things that should be provided first. Um, this government, the reason some of us are so critical of the government, and some people just see any kind of spending as good spending and development. And part of the reason is a lot of these people haven't studied world governments and understood how countries are built. And if we don't build our country from the ground up, we're going nowhere. We keep borrowing money and passing on to our children, and we're not spending the money. We're borrowing wisely and making any plans to pay it back. I often use this analogy about knowing the recipe of a meal and being a cook, being able to prepare that meal. So today, Dwalu and I had a quick back and forth. He's acknowledging and saying thanks to Joseph Boyka for building roads and LEC being stable. And I said, what are you saying thank you for? It just tells me that you don't know anything about how countries are built. And this is not inconsequential. There are people who are dying right now, and there are no jobs. So how is the government supposed to provide for the environment that people are able to pursue happiness and provide for their own general welfare, and the government provide for their own general welfare when there are no jobs being created? Okay, there are no adequate schools to make sure that everyone have equal opportunity and access to education. Um, there's we don't have a domestic economy that's run by Liberians. So all the foundational thing, and meanwhile, Dalu's thinking foundational thing is things are you build roads, you you make sure LEC is stable. These people really believe that that's how countries are made, and just the audacity to come in the public and say things that you haven't studied, you have no idea about, is it is it is infuriating. It is not something that I take lightly, and this happens often. And this is a country that we are stuck in. So I want us to have a conversation today about what's the role of the government, what they're supposed to be doing, and if these things that they're doing, like breaking people's homes down and to build roads and building overpass bridges. Are those good investments? Is that putting street lights on the street? Is that what the government is supposed to do? And what else are they doing that's supposed to be good? So that's what I wanted to talk about today.
Okay. So what is this government doing? For me, Peter, and it would take more than just it would take, I said yesterday, if you look around the world, you will find out that majority of the world that are considered first world or developed nations, education is the foundation, because it tells you your country GDP and directly correlated. Okay. The way people vote, the way people analyze, the way people think, have to be informed and able to do these things. How are you informed? What is the government responsible for? Let's first look at article, I think it's the article 7, where it says, I am so blind in here. Okay. Is that the public shall, consistent with the principle of individual freedom and social justice enshrined in this constitution, manage the national economy and the natural resources of Liberia in such manner as shall
Go back a little bit,
ensure.
Yasendi. When you were saying something, it broke up, but I wanted them to hear what you were saying. So go back like a
Okay.
few lines.
It says the republic shall, consistent with the principle of individual freedom and social justice enshrined in the Constitution, manage the national economy and the natural resources of Liberia in such manner as shall ensure a maximum feasible participation of Liberians citizens under condition of equality as to advance the general welfare of the Liberian people and the economic development of Liberia. So that's what it said. So maximum feasible participation with equality. What does that say? When you have 60% of our people can't afford to eat, 90% unemployment, but people are millionaires working for government. Is that how it's supposed to be? Is that the development? But we're taking loan to build an overpass. We're taking loan that we can pay for.
Yeah, and it's not just we are literally taking loans in our children's names.
Mm-hmm.
How immoral is that, right? How immoral is that? And talking about manage the natural resources of the country. So these are supposed to be our managers. You hire a manager who just told you he was living off of loan from BDI Bank. He took out loan to sustain himself after being in government for 40 something years. When I say being in government, you're top 1% of the population in Liberia. And you did that for 40 something years and still had to go broke where you had to borrow money. And we
Right.
sat there and elected this person as a leader. As a leader. And he comes in, and the saddest thing about him coming in is this old man started to buy expensive shoes and clothing
Expensive cars.
and cars and spent $10 million building homes for himself back in his county that he's from, his
Mm-hmm.
tribal origin that he's from. Why is his family better than everyone else's family? Is his life better than my life, my family's life, my mother? Are they, how is he better than anyone else's family? So you're literally taking the lion's share of the country's resources
Right.
and wasting it on yourself. And you
Right.
came in and you had experience. Experience doing what? So no, they're not managing our natural resources. These are all This is what he's doing is unconstitutional. He's breaking the law.
It is.
It's
It
as if
is.
I'm committing a crime. It's like me committing murder. It's against the law. You can't do it. He's literally breaking the law. They're supposed to manage our natural resources. What? How is it being managed? Let's talk about how. When was the last report that says this is how natural resources is benefiting the general public? When did that report come out? Okay, so we have people who are doing things right, and I often tell people this: replace the word projects with purchase, and then it would tell you if that was money well spent. Joseph Borgat project. He's building a new ministry. He purchased a new ministry. How is that a new building from a ministry? How is that a good thing? He purchased an overpass bridge. How is that a good thing? There are so many other things that you can spend that money better spent on, like building schools to prepare the next generation, all the generation now in trade school. Okay, like making sure we have infrastructure to allow investors to come in the country. We're not doing any of that. Like creating an export economy. We're not doing any of that. We're spending money on cars for people. LDA is getting bunch of new cars. There's other agencies getting a bunch of new cars. Joseph Boyka is building his homes. He bought himself a new car. New. How is this a responsible man? So again, we don't have a responsible government. He's violating Article 7 of the Constitution because he's not managing our resources like he should, right? And
Mhm.
not making sure that the well being of the people is being met.
Right. So another thing also is, so we're gonna go to Article 5. Article 5 is also being violated. Okay, here is Article 5. Liberia people, the conversation will be short, so you will have time. You can go to our YouTube, subscribe, okay, and you will be able to follow this through. All right. Here's Article 5, Peter. Article 5 says the Republic shall aim at strengthening the national integration and unity of the people of Liberia, regardless of ethnic, regional, or other differences, into one body politics. And the legislature shall enact law promoting national unification and the encouragement of all citizens to participate in government. All citizens. It didn't say UP. It didn't say sedition. It didn't say you need to have a badge on your that says you're for you to participate in government. Okay. B. Preserve, protect, and promote positive Liberian culture. Ensure that traditional value which are compatible with public policies and national progress are adapted and developed as an integral part of the growing needs of the Liberian society. And they say what? Take steps by appropriate legislature and executive order to eliminate sectionalism and tribalism and such. Hold on, let me go next. So we're talking about what? Sectionalism, tribalism, okay?
Hmm.
And they also talk about and what abuses of power as the misuse of government resources, nepotism, and all other corrupt practices. That's
Yes,
Article 5. It's spelled out here. We don't read.
yeah, but it just look at what you just read though. The first thing, the government shall provide and promote
Mhm.
national unity. National unity.
Right.
How is how is Joseph Boycott a uniter? He everything he says, excuse me, is divisive. He mocks people being deported from the diaspora, even though he can't survive without the money from diaspora.
Exactly.
Talking about people going to get deported, and then they have the audacity to say, "Don't say unkind things about him." I'm gonna say unkind things to a person who's being unkind to me and people I care about, and that's
Right.
not going to change. Like, who doesn't do that? That person's a coward and deserves to be put in slavery. Um, his he hires people based on political party affiliation in a high 80, 90% of the people. Okay. um it's it's nepotism. His kids are taking money out the government that's not theirs, but because he's the president and his job title, so they get to do that. He's building homes back in his county. How is he not
Not just building
practicing
10
sex?
million, and then he lied. All of them lie to the
Yeah,
country.
but he's
We're not talking.
comfortable.
Yes.
He's very comfortable with lying. Everything about that man is a lie. Like, no, he doesn't have any integrity, and the people who support him also have no integrity. That's why they're comfortable with someone who's like that. And the more you get to know people who are close to him or really supports him, these are not good people. And I would say that's the hill I'm willing to die on. These people are not. I don't know too many good people that support him. They're either very, very grossly uneducated and pretentious, or they're not just not a good person because they are hypocrites. Hypocrites are not good people. Joseph Boycott doesn't do anything when it comes to unity in that country. He's not a uniter. He's not a dad. He's not a grandfather. Okay, he's a pretentious oh shucks. I'm just a poor old man. He's not very, very, very poor character person. And we made a major error by selecting him to lead.
Right.
People might say Yakut Kalaba is very crass the way he expresses himself. I don't think he's crass.
Keep talking,
I
please.
think he does what he's supposed to do. I think he speaks with with because he's frustrated. He speaks like he should speak, and and that's the type of way you speak to those type of people. Um, Joseph Barker is not a good person. Again, that's a violation of the Constitution. And if it's okay for Joseph Boycott to violate the Constitution, it's okay for anyone to violate any of the laws because that's the law of the land. That's the ultimate law of the land. And this guy is violating that law of the land. Um, he doesn't. I don't think Joseph Boycott knows the Constitution. I don't think he cares about the Constitution.
That reminds me of somebody.
I don't. I don't think he understands the Constitution. I don't think he understands the importance. I think, and a lot of people who support him think that the Constitution is something that is like a luxury. You could choose and pick when to follow it. That's like saying I'm going to choose and pick when to be lawful. That puts us in a state of nature. That means anything goes for anyone whenever they feel like it. That's saying I can run the red light whenever I feel like it because I'm running late.
Right.
So you can't live like that. And I don't think he has any interest in the Constitution. Imagine how sad it is, Yasendi, that an old man felt like he needed to buy a pair of shoes, a bunch of shoes that cost $400, $500 at his age. The same man that said he was riding a wheelbarrow is now
Wheelbarrow. Yep.
buying a $600,000-$700,000 car.
Hmm.
How empty inside were you as an old? And he's an old man. And the good thing is, no matter how much money you give to that type of person, would never be enough
Nope.
because that cavity has been there for a long time. So to me,
Hmm.
it's karma in the universe paying this guy back. He's not happy. He's not going to be happy. He needs luxury things. Okay. I'm getting to be an old man myself. I don't care now about stuff like that.
Especially, yeah, and I know me, like
Why would you
almost
want
60.
that?
Yeah, it don't.
Why would you want that? I don't want that. I don't want some that $400 shoes. For what reason? Take that and give it to kids. Don't you rather build schools and watch and leave a legacy that way and watch
Right.
Liberian kids compete? Don't you want to have a educational czar that made sure Liberian top their wags? Isn't that something that will fill
Right.
you more?
Right.
I'm saying that person doesn't have it in him. He should never have been a leader of our country. Go ahead. You're muted. You're muted, Yasendi.
I know. I took a call. I'm listening to
Oh,
you. Yeah. Mhm.
no, no, I was closing y'all. I was saying that he shouldn't be a leader of our country. That's why I closed that. Yeah, you're muted, Yasendi. No one can hear you.
Peter, I'm
Yes.
listening to you. I took a call. Somebody were trying to give me an import. That's all.
Yeah,
Okay.
I closed. That's why.
Oh, you
Okay.
close.
Did
Okay,
you want me to
sorry.
continue? Yeah, so you're not hearing me.
Okay, so, okay, good, good, good. So here we are. And Peter, you chronicled so well. It is difficult. It is very difficult, Peter. You and I both know. And you know that's why here, that's the first thing we teach the children, the pledge of allegiance. We teach them the rights and responsibility. You hear American people saying all the different amendments, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, that amendment, that amendment. Okay. There is a reason why there's and the kids, most of them have to know this by 8th grade. This is middle school. Because by 18, you're supposed to be voting. A lot of people don't even know in Liberia the age of 18 to vote when the children are not prepared, the young people are not prepared. They don't even, most of them don't even know, Peter, why they're voting. What the essence of voting? They just know it's a right. They're choosing a leader based on what? Okay. And I see in the street, like we inform people who's supposed to be intelligent people. Okay. And I'm not talking about degree. Degree does not necessarily make you intelligent. Okay. Degree means you can stay with certain thing and you can finish, you can read, you can process, and you can retrieve. Okay. Critical thinking, the essence of going through that is to be able to think and think critically and analyze. That's why when we have kids, we say, okay, compare and contrast, analyze, do this and do that. So the processes that you go through before you even get to that, you get a population at almost 60%. And Peter, I think it's intentional. So we are talking about the national integration. We're talking about stealing from the people in Article 5, okay? That the president, the leadership, not just the president, Peter, the legislature must craft laws and the policymakers must, okay, because shall in the legal term is what we would say must. It's a requirement, okay? And here they don't. You got and I don't know how you feel. I keep hearing people say, "Oh, drug coming in the country." Then they say, "George, we are ready." Yesterday, George, we are said the UP people ready. How does this fit into us? That I saw the lawmaker Simeon Taylor's son driving one of the government vehicle into a river, a road that was cut off, and somebody recorded it. Okay. And the car is not assigned to him, it's the country car. It was assigned to the nation, to his father as a lawmaker. Okay. Now, so in essence, the president, who is the head of the state, I always say leadership starts from the top, development starts from the bottom. If you look at other nations that have changed, and we're seeing that in Burkina Faso right now, a young man. Oh, Peter, let me get off a little bit. Did you know that the president of Madagascar was ousted?
Yeah, I saw that. That
Another
young people.
pawn,
Yeah.
another pawn was ousted. And
Yes.
hopefully the guy that replaced him, it can be another Traore, okay? Or maybe another Naja. That is my prayer. So Peter, we knew and you're saying, oh, how do we elect that? Because we intentionally do not educate the population. And when we do not intentionally educate the population, we just give them, most of them don't know why they're voting. You give them rice, they vote. You give them t-shirt, you vote. It is intentional. How do we change that? That's where you and I said we're going to start talking about the Constitution.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah, go
go,
ahead.
no, go. No, I was going to say, I'm careful not to victim blame. It's easy to victim blame in this case because the people do have a responsibility to, and they're the ones picking those people. But the people are only going to, again, I caution people and remind them that Liberia is what is called an emerging democracy. Let me break that down and say what they mean when they say emergent democracy. Democracy is has pillars that must be there, right? Ingredients that you need for it to work, right? Just like again, using food for an analogy is that when you're cooking, there are certain when you making GB, you're making casal leaves, you're making
Right,
whatever. Anyone that knows how to make the food, there are certain ingredients that must be in the food for it to be that meal. If you take one of them away, it's not that meal, right? It doesn't taste the
right,
same.
right,
And everyone who cooks knows that. Um, Democracy requires a few things. Number one, democracy requires that you have the rule of law. That is to say, everyone knows that everyone has to play by the same rules, and they don't. There is no ambiguity about that. It's no ands, if, or buts. Right? If you break the law, you go to jail. Okay. Democracy demands that there be a rule of law so people can trust the system. Trust really, really matters so that people don't take the law into their own hand and it's good for peace and stability. Okay. Second thing, democracy demands that there must be jobs. Okay. It requires that you have great economic stability. You must have people must be able to provide for themselves because desperation is not a good place to to be when you're selecting leaders. It's as if you're about to go grocery shopping when you're hungry. You don't make the best choices of food. You just want to eat anything, the first thing, right? You're starving. So to eliminate that desperation, people got to have jobs, right? So you have to have this you have to have a economic system, a thriving economic system. Democracy requires that you have an educated populace. That part was important and is important because people have to make decisions about who is going to make this financial decision and are they credible? Why should we pick them? People have to make decisions about vaccines and people have to make decisions about national security. You can't just pick a lay person. The more expertise this person have, the better they are to able to carry out this job function. The general public has to know and be able to discern who is good and who's not good, who's making sense, who's not making sense, so that the general welfare of the country is met, not just their individual needs. Don't forget now, democracy is all about the people and the general welfare of everyone in the country. Okay. Um, you must have social welfare programs for democracy to work. And the reason when I say social welfare program again is to eliminate desperation. When you're hungry, is there a food bank you can go to? When you need shelters, there are homeless shelters, there are aid to families in crisis. Are there church services that take care of people? Again, to eliminate desperation. And the last thing democracy demands is citizen participation. That Liberia have. Of the four or five things I just listed, Liberia has one, citizen participation. Huge citizen participation. How do you get Meanwhile, we have citizens participating who are not very informed. How do you get them informed? This is why democratic countries have free public education with high level education. Those of us who teach and coach in public, we know that we have to have all these. You can have all the degrees, you can have your master's, you still have to go for professional development. You still have to
professional
take
development
you
every
still have
year.
to take master's classes in best practices. That means every year they're going to reevaluate that stuff. So you still have to keep learning and learning. The reason for that is because the country is investing millions and hundreds of millions of dollars into teachers and teaching the population, not because they want to waste money. It's because they want to educate the populace, because the more educated populace, the better decision to make for the country. The country is stronger that way. So when you have a country that is not intentional about teaching the people, and the people are making poor choices based on desperation, it's by design, like you said, yes, Andy. And blaming the people is victim blaming. I often hear people like, "Oh, Sidicians are stupid." Like, first of all, how is Sidician stupid? I talked to some of the top brass in UP. They're some of the least intelligent, the dumbest people I know. Like, and arrogant to that for that matter, right? They're not very informed, and they're pretentious. They pretend like they know things they don't know. But you say Sidicians, which represent the grassroots people, you're saying they're not very smart. Whose job was it to educate them? Isn't it the government? So that's an indictment on your government. And if you say, "Oh, it was the government in the past," okay, what is the government doing now to be
Well,
intentional?
yeah, exactly,
Educating
exactly.
people. How are they being intentional right now? Tell me the amount in the budget that's dedicated to recruiting top teachers, to building STEM schools, and to making sure that our kids can top the wires. What are we doing? What can you demonstratively put down to say this is what we're doing to prepare the country? So yeah, is we don't have an educated populace, and that's a national security issue because our country easily it affects the self-esteem of the people in the country and the general public. This is why the foreigners are um, taking the lead in our economy. We are third, fourth class citizen in our own economy, and that's a national security issue. Again, another major failure by past government, but this government. So those people who are saying that he's doing well, they themselves don't know anything. They're just saying any words that come to their mind.
Okay, and I want to agree with you. I really do want to agree with you. So then, though, Peter, how do we put the power in the hands of the people? How do the people get the power if they don't recognize that they have the power? Those of us who have gone to Liberia, who approach, campaign, gone to villages, the people will tell you and say, well, during election time, the people come, they promise us, we think they're doing a favor. So we vote, we stay in line and vote for them. This last election, I remember Dr. Richardson, L. Louise, myself, and Amanda going from village to village to talk to the people and tell them, no, your vote is your power. Your vote says, I am choosing you to represent me. I'm choosing you and giving you the key to my rice kitchen. So you are the town chief. All of us, this is where all of our food is. It is your responsibility to make sure you manage it, okay? That the kids are fed, that the kids are healthy. You got to make sure that the town people are safe, they're protected. You got to make sure the people that you put in charge, that there is justice and accountability. This is where voting for somebody means. And I don't know how else to put it. Some of the people don't speak English, so I say some. Like you said, victim blaming. I'm particularly not. I'm saying we have not taught our people, and I believe it's intentional, because look at what this Constitution says in Article 5 alone. Article 5 alone is telling us, those who the framer of this Constitution, it looked like they saw this way in advance. It says we got tradition, but if that tradition does not progress the nation, then we need to do away with it. So when you say the person is my uncle, that your uncle, but you're leaving other people, nieces and nephews out who can do the job, because either they're from the southeast or they're from the other side, and the Constitution is saying this is wrong. So, hey, party, welcome. Now, how do we put the power? And I keep asking this question: how do the people understand the power? when they don't even know what the Constitution say. I heard a lawmaker say, you all say I don't know Bo, you all say I don't know English, but I the one who the lawmaker. And I'm hearing this man, and this guy's from Nima County. Okay. And he just said that. So how do you elect somebody that will make laws for you when he does not know the laws, he does not speak the law, he does not understand it? How does that work? Before we are coming to the people, and Peter. So we have a problem.
Yeah. So again, the first thing is I think showing up around election time perpetuates a an image that is not good. I don't think that people with diaspora accents should show up around election time unless you've been showing up. I think that's a bad thing. That's a bad look because here's why. I think it's a good thing that you guys did that. I think it took a lot from you, your families, and your resources, everyone that depends on you. Here's why I'm saying it's a bad thing. Those people are poisoned before you get there. Here's what I mean. When you listen to Joseph Boycott talks, it's part of the reason I don't respect the man. I think the man is vile. He said things like strange package. And I've been here with you guys. That's very powerful. The mosquito ate, tasted my blood here with you. That's powerful for Liberian people because Liberian people believe that those of us in the diaspora really don't care. We're there for, we want to win government positions, and government position is lucrative, and they're doing the politician a favor by selecting them. And they want to select someone who's suffering like them, who've been through stuff, not someone who's been eating cheeseburger and just coming to Liberia. They have poisoned their minds with that. Joseph Boycott knows that level of politics. He doesn't know much of anything else, like nothing else, right? But he's a master manipulator. So when you listen to him say things like, we're not going to give our country to a strange package, what he's really saying is the people that are acting, they had a soft life. They want to come and enjoy the little bit. And me, I've been here with you guys for 40 some years. So pick me. There's part of the reason why George, we had talked about how he's from Gibraltar. Even though this man has been gone out of Liberia longer than I've been gone out of Liberia. He's playing soccer and making millions that I've never seen. So, and most of us haven't seen. Living in Italy, being a star, being number one in the world, but still wants to talk with his roots from Gibraltar and manipulative, right? That's a political stunt. I'm from the street. You're not from the street. You've been away from the street longer than people have been alive, right? So when we go there around election time, the the firewall that they're set by saying these people from other places are gonna they want to come these strange package. They hear that they're hearing our accent, and I think it turns some people off. Like, oh, they're all right. What I do think we can do, yeah, Cindy, and we should do, is do what we're doing now. But we need to do it more. We need to be on the ground. We need our people need to hear us speak. People need to hear us, and feel us. We need to tell them our whys. They need to hear the whys. They need to know that this is not there's not a CDC thing. It's not a CMC thing. It's not a LP thing. It's not. It's a Liberian thing, right? So what we are doing now just needs to be out there more, not just on Facebook, because the percentage of Liberian back home who have data, who's going to be on a live, very low. I would say less than 5%. So we need to do what I would suggest we do is we go into the schools, just like you and I do here now. We go to the young people and have real conversations with them, like we used to do with the town hall thing. But we need to do it in person more. We need to be on the radio. We need to allow them to hear why we're saying what we're saying. We need to debunk all of the landmines that was laid down. We need to go back and revisit everything that was said. This is why we said Joseph Boyka was not fit to lead. Look how he's spending money here. This is what should be happening. Okay, we need to do that. So we need to speak directly to our people. And it can't just be through Facebook. Facebook is a medium where the All of us here on this medium right now, we are in some position of privilege, even the ones in Liberia, because people don't have data to watch our live, right? So um,
Correct.
those of us in the diaspora, those of us who are they have some business or they're part of government, they're the ones who are on Facebook. The regular Liberian people have button phones. The people houses that you're breaking down, they're not on Facebook Live. Or the pimping boys that you're beating up and taking their bikes, those people are not on Facebook Live. Okay, so we need to reach those people by, and it doesn't matter what our action is, but we got to do it way before election happens, and we need to explain their whys. We need to be into those schools, we need to be into those communities and town halls, and we need to do things for them, and we need to literally speak a populist language, and that's what they need to know. They need to know why you're here, and it has to resonate with them. It has to make sense.
So Peter, though, you and I have been on the ground going back and forth since 2017, 26, at least for me, 2016. And I was just talking to somebody in 2023. I was in Liberia 4 times. In 2020, 2022, I was in Liberia another 4 times, from town to town, village to village, border to borders. But it's a big country. 2 weeks and 3 weeks cannot cover it, you know. And I can't afford, except for the summer, I can't afford to just take our time and go like that. So we got to find other mediums. And we,
So, so again, not to play the strategist right now, but you're right. It can't be us doing the door to door thing like we're selling like salesmen, right? So there are things we can do. We'll talk off air. There are things that I believe will work as a recruiter and someone who understands how people minds work, especially cynical young people and the general public. That's what I do. Um, there are things that we can do to connect with them, right? They're saying, like they're saying, education, you can't teach them unless you can reach them. First, we need to reach them. So the question is, how do you reach them before you even tell them Joseph Boyka is not it? Because he's already lied to them. And there are things that we can do and we should be working on now that would get us to reach them first to get their ears. Unless you have their ears, they're just gonna the people who have closer proximities to them just gonna say, "Here to come again is election time. They just try just one job." They have to know that some of us, first of all, the job in Liberia don't pay enough unless you're there to steal. I don't want a job. I don't want a job in Liberia. If I have to get a job in Liberia, I did something really bad in my life, and I'm going to be crying every day going to work. I don't want a job in Liberia. I want my country to be better. I want better leaders for my country. I want better decision makers. I don't want hypocrites and con men to run our country and set policies. That's what I care about. And the people need to know that. And they know sincerity, right? We have a lot of charlatans, even in our own camp, right?
yeah.
There are people in ANC who are pretending that they want to serve the public when they're just there to steal and get minerals. And we call them out behind closed doors. And as the time gets closer, we're going to start calling them out publicly so people can know that it doesn't matter. I'm Yeket. I would tell you the truth right to your face, and everyone who knows me, you could say he's crass. He cusses at people. Yeah, because you cuss at me first. But outside of that, we'll have an intellectual discussion. There are people in our own camp that needs to be ousted, that are not there for people, not there for people's service, but self-service and how it can enrich themselves. We need to rid ourselves of people. Our people need to hear us. They need to see us, feel us. They know a fake person when they see one. And the sincere people just need to, we need to connect with our people first before we start teaching them.
Thank you. So we're gonna talk. We're gonna stay on Article 5, okay, and then next week we're gonna go to 6 and 7. I talk about education and the resources of the nation, and the resources of the nation. So that said, first we want to set the tune. Okay, Article 4 says, and next time I come, St. Peter gonna have me reading. I'm gonna bring my glasses. The principle contained in this chapter shall be fundamental in the governance of the republic and shall serve as the guideline in the formulation of legislative, executive, and administrative directives, policy making, and their execution. So it's telling us in Article 4 that everything that is in there is what we should go by. These are the steps, these are the rules, these are the things that we need to follow, and we are not following it. So we, Peter and I, just talked about Article 5, okay, where it talks about inclusion. It talks about good governance, making sure Liberians, Liberia values that will progress the nation. Nepotism will not progress the nation. Tribalism will not progress the nation. Indeed, sectionalism will not progress the nation. Okay. So here we are, and it's
So
telling.
let's talk about sectionalism though. And
Okay, let's do. How does that? Yeah. So let's break it down so the everyday person can hear what that is.
yeah. So sectionalism. I'm from the southeast. He's from Lo-Fi. He hasn't done anything in Lo-Fi since he's been vice president or whatever. This person's from Grand Jesus. This person's from Niba County. That's sectionalism, right? Tribalism, sectionalism. Sectionalism is the part of the place that you're from. You use your position of power to, I don't want to say unfairly, but um, in some imbalance, look to privilege them a little bit more than the general public. You don't think about the general public. You think about just the place that you get your votes from, right? Your tribal or your ancestral votes from, and then you're from. You pay closer attention to them. Whenever I hear people make the argument that he's from Lo-Fi, he didn't build anything in Lo-Fi, it makes me cringe, because what you're saying is because you're actually going against the Constitution. Because if you do any of these things, this is how you get civil wars. You're saying
Yeah.
I'm going to cater to a group of people because I have some connection to them more than I have to other people. Number one, Liberians, we all on this feed knows one thing. When you come to America, no one gives a damn what tribe you are. We all know that. It's not even close, right? No American is gonna say, "Oh, what tribe you from?" No Ghanaian don't ask that. No, that stuff only happens and matters in Morovia and in Liberia. Once you get on that plane and leave, no one cares. So the founders and the framers of this Constitution was in their infinite wisdom. First of all, this Constitution is literally plagiarized from the American Constitution. The American Constitution is literally plagiarized from the English Bill of Rights, the Magna Carta, right? And people lifted things from what was called ciphers back in France. Okay, that's where the French Revolution happened after the American Revolution. The point I'm making is these are really, really smart people who sat around and debated how people should live for equality, for justice, peace, and equality, and the pursuit of happiness. This had nothing to do with Liberia or America. They were just saying this is what's gonna. They looked at all the turbulence that was around them. What is gonna bring the best peace? And they put those things down in what we call encyclopedias, and later on, readers, people read those things. People were educated back then. And when a new government was being formed, the first modern democracy, which is America, these smart people came together and debated those things and put it in the Constitution. It's very, very important what I just said. Just like we are forming a new group right now to as a opposition. They didn't exclude people because they had strong personalities. They didn't do that. That's what unintelligent people do. All right. They didn't do that. What these people did was they got the best minds, the best of the best minds, and put them together. And they came up with this thing called Constitution that we all had. The reason not to say you cannot do sectionalism because it's dogmatic. Anything is dogmatic. I pick this person because it doesn't move the nation forward. It doesn't give us the best chance to pick the best possible people. It just gets us picking people, and that might not be the best thing to do. So when they say no sectionalism, and to make sure there's no sectionalism or tribalism, what they're saying is everything should be merit based. This is how you move the country forward best. You don't get people who sit around in chat rooms and then pick people who they're comfortable with. No, you put the best minds together, and the cream is going to rise to the top. We didn't. We're not doing that in Liberia. So if we're practicing anything outside of that, you're doing just like Joseph Boyka has done, and other government has done before. And what results did we get? We got civil war. We have a country that looks like a slave plantation. We borrow money. We look like beggars. All the pride that we have, we don't even see that we are laughed at in the world. We're not what people are looking aspire to be. Okay, so it's not a good thing. It is bad for the country. It doesn't give us our best minds, and the country would be best served if the best minds made the decisions for the country. And sectionalism, tribalism, religionism is not how you do that. It's not how you accomplish that. So the Constitution was very, very keen when they say to rid ourselves of sectionalism, or to ensure that sectionalism is not practiced as we pick in leaders or as we move the country forward.
I have this short video and I wanted to show that to us. This is this is Tanzania. Tanzania just completed a bridge, okay, that they spent 300 million on in honor of John Magufuli, the man who started and I have no copyright to this. The narratives is under there. Okay, they did not take loan. They did not go to IMF. Okay, if all of you remember, John Magufuli was the one that took over in 2015, and when he took over, Tanzania were going through some breakout. One second. Okay, Tanzania were going through some epidemic. They had a malaria outbreak, dysentery, diarrhea, because of bad water. And they were just doing that. He said there would be no big inauguration. We're going to sweat us in. And when the Independence Day came, he said, we're going to use the money. We're going to invest in hospital. We invest in medication. We will get out. I will lead the charge, and we will clean the streets. And the money will go into. And he barely traveled outside of the continent. I think he traveled maybe 2 times outside of the continent. Once to come to New York, to the United Nations, which he was in the economy class. Actually, he walked around speaking to people when he was about to disembark. And when it came with about 7 people, he made them 8. The whole president of the nation. But I want us to watch the Peter. This was done. This was done in Africa without taking loan. This was done there. Okay, here we go. Folks, I'm going to play this for you. It's going to be, I'm going to just do short, very short part of it. It's not going to be big. This is John Magufuli Bridge.
Magufuli Bridge in Mwanza is one of the most significant infrastructure projects completed in Tanzania.
We have no copyright to this video.
Named after Tanzania's late President John Pombe Magufuli, the bridge spans Lake Victoria, connecting the bustling city of Mwanza to neighboring regions. In this video, we will see in-depth review covering its design, economic impact, and public reception.
I'm going to stop here, Peter. It's on my page. Anybody who wants to look at it. There's a commentary also there. There's a lot of coverage on that. They did not take a loan, I learned. Okay. They did not go to the African Development Bank. In fact, the lady, his former vice president who took over after he died, is also along with in agreement with Traore. Okay. And with Professor Malumba, Okay, those are her role models. She don't believe in that we need to take loan. She don't believe in we need to go begging. She believes in designing, sitting down, planning, executing, cutting back. What they did was they reduced salary. When the people that they brought in, they made some alignment. They make sure the people that they were bringing to work, they were qualified, they could do the job, and two, that they got livable wage. You come to work for government, it's about service, it's not to get rich. You want to get rich, be an innovator, be an entrepreneur, design something, create something, be in your own business. Peter? Peter.
Yeah, so sorry about that. So you talk about Michael Foley Bridge, right? This is what Joseph Boycott wants. He wants to leave a structure. Again, low self-esteem people. They want George Weah wanted a statue built of him.
Oh yeah, they were building it all over the place.
Trump wants his face on. Low self-esteem people. This is what they do, right? When people are not, when their first thing is not, how do I serve the general public? We need to vet our leaders better. What Joseph Boycott wants is he wants a monument of something with his name on it and his family name on it. Like you said, that bridge was not paid for by loans.
No.
Okay.
It's after him though. He didn't build it. He's dead and
Yes.
gone.
Yes. Yes. So no, I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
Boycott doesn't believe that austerity will build a bridge in his honor. There won't, because you're not leaving a legacy here. You got what I'm saying? So they want to build a statue of them now while they're in position of power. They want people to do it so it stays and stands forever. They're not thinking about the general public. So it is nice that they built a bridge, but Tanzania also got a economic board to first structure the economy that
Yep.
put Tanzania's first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I won't even say they're the litmus test of what should be, but it was still better. All right, it's still better than ours, right? They didn't go down breaking down people's homes before
Nope.
they give people other places to go. And I'm not
Nope.
even saying that those houses are not in the way of what can happen, but what a responsible government does and would have done, Yasendi, was what a great opportunity that would have been if they had built structures for those people first, right? Built
Yes.
these, built
Yes.
these factories,
Yes.
built these
Yes, Peter.
projects, and say, guess what? You guys, you have a new home, but you got to leave here because imagine just how crass it is, and you're watching these women cry and curse and cry and hurt and beg, and you're breaking down the only means they have to survive, and you're plunging them back into abject poverty without creating jobs. I can see if you had created all these jobs and said, well, you have another opportunity, just go there, or you build homes first for them and provide transportation and did the responsible thing. We didn't do that. We don't do that. Okay. So yeah, they're building a bridge in that man's honor because in their estimation, he deserves it. We don't have a leader right now that deserves anything. But for his grave to be spat at, there are people who absolutely hate this person now. It's not because his name is Joseph Boycott. It's because of the choices he's made for the country and how he's affected their lives in such a profoundly adverse way. And people take that for granted. Imagine someone broke down your home, Yasendi. You make pretty good money. Imagine if right now you had to find some place to go and you live in a country that with abundance. How uncomfortable that would be. How unfair that is for people who are living off of meager resources already. And then you take his motorcycle away. And you wonder why they're fighting and they're bleeding and trying to kill you. You're taking my life away. This person might have a girlfriend at home or a wife at home that, and a young child that depends on that thing. So what are they supposed to do now? Okay, you're taking that away. You probably taking away their manhood because How they gonna go home and say I don't have any way to take care of you? This bike is the only way I was feeding myself. Well, they should get insurance. What's more important? They should get insurance for the bikes. That's fair. But you should also create jobs. Have you done that?
Yeah, yes. And Peter,
They
here,
should
here
get
it is.
helmets. Have you done the other things you're supposed to do? Have you created the environment that private sector jobs would thrive in? Have you made Liberians first class in the economy? Since we want to talk about what people ought to be doing and should be doing. Go ahead, y'all.
Thank you. And I love when you said he does not think when he dies that's going to happen for him. This is happening for John McAfoley because in the first 2 years, people started warming up to him. He made a difference. He put his people first. He started creating middle class, started creating jobs, making sure the top 5% didn't carry everything, especially working for government. Okay. That country has a population of 70 million people. Okay. And still they have a purchasing a power of over $4,000. That's an African nation. That's more than Ghana. That's more than when you put Nigeria together. Okay. 4 grand. I know for some people it's not a lot of money, especially in America, but you got to look at the living wage in the country where you consider. Okay. And it has a $78 billion GDP and growing. Right now, elementary school to high school, K1 through 12, it's free. Meaning you don't have to, you just show up just like we do here. No registration fee, nothing. Have to born baby in Tanzania is free. This lady put it in place. It has been for the last 3 years. Now, all college tuition, she said, parents, all you have to do, bring your children and they will get educated. It's free. They give housing allowance. What is Liberian doing for Liberia? You collect our money, they increase taxes. Just like when Bwaka took over first, they told the motorbike rider they need to have reflective jacket. They got that. They needed to have helmet. They got it. If not, in fact, some people died because they could not. They chased them, pulled them out with a car, and nothing happened. They said, "Oh, motorbike rider need and driver need fire extinguishers. I don't know why do I need fire extinguisher in my car. I have nobody with disability driving in my car to have the fire extinguisher."
Well, because somebody in their fake government, their Bush government, their primitive government, because somebody in that government have already did the deal to import a bunch of fire extinguishers from China or India, and they were going to sell it and be millionaires, and they were going to force the general public, just like they did with the insurance, just like they did with the helmets. These are immoral people, and we need to stop sugarcoating and beating around the bush like this is not what the case is, because somebody looked to benefit from their possession of privilege, and they were going to force people to buy insurance, buy helmet, buy reflective jackets, buy fire extinguishers, because the people didn't come first. Let's say the truth. And this is what needs to be said on the radio. These people are immoral people. And those of us who they cannot hold a gun to our heads and threaten the way we live, we need to speak truth to power. Somebody was looking to someone looked to benefit, someone became a millionaire because they forced poor people to purchase things that they necessarily didn't need without creating any more jobs or any more avenues to create jobs. All this stuff is it's like literally having abusive parents. That's what this is. Everyone shouldn't be a parent. There are people who beat the hell out of their kids just because they're a parent and they call that discipline. Okay, even though study after study shows that you literally make a kid dumb when you do that, it affects their cognitive ability. That's scientific research after research after research from Ivy League university and psychologists and top neuroscience scientists. They still do it. Some people abuse their workers. Some people abuse their house help. Some people abuse the children that lives with them. So this abusive government is going to look to enrich themselves. They don't. Yeah, Sandy, here's the thing. I don't call these people uneducated just to be mean and disrespectful. The reason I say is A, you hear them talk, so you know they don't really have the information. But B, yes, and the more people know, the more humble they become because they realize they don't know a lot, right? So being exposed to a lot of things humbles you, and those people who go into government, they have this humility about themselves and this empathy about themselves. These people don't have empathy. They don't put themselves in other people's shoes. Okay, that's why Joseph Boyka is buying the cars he's buying. These are empty people who came to power to be able to have power over the lives of people and to abuse it, just like they abuse the house guests, they abuse the step kids, they abuse their kids, they abuse someone working for them. Anyone who is desperately in need of them, they abuse. This is an abusive government. Real quick, y'all said the last time when Joseph Boycott lost the election in 17, Ellen's government had the same type of people in it. And I remember those pictures of them beating people on the street.
Yep.
Those soldiers people beating people.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to people, you do remember, you do know these people are coming back, right? I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people didn't vote for Boycott the first time around, right? They were abusive people. They abused the Liberian people, physically abused them because they could. What happened when they come back to power? The same exact thing is happening. Taking people market away, throwing it away, burning people houses down. Like what type of primitive nonsense, uncivilized nonsense is that? You can come up with a better way to deal with that. Now there's a law in Liberia, I guess, Yaseni. I'm not even a smoker. I don't even like smoke. But if you smoke in public, you go to jail.
In Liberia.
Did you not know that? Like guys, people are getting arrested.
Are you serious?
Yes, they're getting arrested for smoking in public. Smoking cigarettes in public. That's the law these morons came up with. And making people, the countries that supposed to have love of liberty brought us here. There's no liberty there. There are people who are in position of authority and they're abusing it. And these people need to be brought to justice when this government is over. If that's the last thing I do, this is the one reason I'm into politics now. People need to be held accountable for the things they did. And that needs to happen. Joseph Boyka's home needs to be audited. He needs to say where he got that money, how he got that money. All of them, they need to go to jail. And unless that starts to happen, and these abusers who are beating people and doing all that, find every little thing they did and put them in jail. These people have to get some acquired empathy. That means they gotta learn that you don't mistreat people when you're in a position of power. Go ahead, y'all.
Thank you. So I will close with this, like you said. Peter, until we get a leader that holds those who lead accountable, and people understand that actions have consequence, that when you come to power, you come to serve, you don't come to enrich. You know, the last UP-led government, majority of them of power, when they were leaving, they left with money, some of them with millions of dollars. Now, see, some of them want to run. They want to run to be lawmakers. They've gone and what do you call it, reinvented themselves. They're open businesses. Like those who stole the money before and thought we were going to prosecute them when CDC came to power. Paul, I'll call you right back. I'm live, please. Okay. Yeah. They took their money out of the country. Okay, they took their money out of the country. Since CDC did not do anything, all right, they're returning to Liberia and making investment. They're making multi-million-dollar investment. Oh, then they say an investor from America is coming. The one then a CDC stole and brought to Europe, to America, that they found out that this particular government is not going to do nothing. Okay. All that stuff that they're doing is the showcasing that they're doing. It's the facade. Nothing else is going to happen. Okay. So those people who they give all the fictitious contracts to, some of those people, and we saw that with the first UP-led government. Okay. The 10%, the 2%, and kick back, and they give the money, they divide, they go put it in their children's name. Some of them were transferring hundreds of thousands of dollars into their children's name and came to transfer in some other way. They're taking it back to clean it. And that's how they clean it. So they're buying farmland, they're building subdivisions, they're doing that. Now you got to tell me if you are coming from like America as an investor. I want to see where the money trace. The people who work here, we know our as reporting where you got your money from. So this is what happened until Peter. People actually follow the rules, okay? And the people who have balls, right now, what country is that? That the president is going to jail. In fact, he's going to jail a lifetime. Another president in Africa is going to, I think, they're being put to death for corruption from a president. Until we get to that point, okay? And people start naming and shaming, and people start going to jail that it was done in Singapore or like in China. If you're caught, it's firing squad. We are not going to change. So first thing is knowledge is power. You know, Douglas said knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. That is correct. Once you know, you and I are talking because we're abreast. We know what our rights and responsibilities are. And we pass that knowledge on to young people every year. New group every year. Anywhere between 100, 140 kids every year. Okay. And those kids, as they add on to where they've acquired from other people and from us and carry on, it makes them make better decisions. And that's what we're saying. How do we impact our nation? We're going to start by what guide us all. And what guide us all that we should live by is our Constitution. Peter, that's my closing.
Yeah. So first of all, yeah, thanks for the conversation again tonight. My closing is going to be we need to get more active into our nation if we really do care. When I say more active is there are firewalls that were set, things that said about people from diaspora and they just here for this, they're just trying to make money. We need to first rid ourselves of people within our circles who are dishonest people because the rest of the Liberian population sees us all as being the same, just trying to be in government to enrich ourselves. But we need to start speaking the truth. We need to start speaking truth to power. We need to not, and this is a message I keep saying over and over. We need to not care about how these people feel. We need to ask people whys, hows, and whens when they're trying to say something. A lot of these people don't know what they're talking about. Had you asked Joseph Boyka how you have arrest, let's start with agriculture. Give me details on what was the first step we're going to see in agriculture. When is that going to happen? How much money do you intend on making on that? Where has this strategy that you're trying to use worked before? If we start asking real questions, we will start getting better leaders. If there is anything you can do is ask questions, right? Ask questions, and then ask follow-ups because the journalists in Liberia cannot really do it. The people who can possibly ask those questions, whether it's on Facebook or on some interviews, it's very hard to get people, Liberian officials, to ask them questions, especially a person like Joseph Boyka. But put those questions out there. That's a mark of intelligence. A person who asks more questions than they offer answers. Just ask questions. How's, when's, and where's are these projects, these things going to happen? The more questions we ask, the clearer it will be whether the people know what they're doing or if they don't know what they're doing. So we're going to continue this conversation about our country, and it's the only land we can't get deported from, so we got to keep talking about it. Thank you so much, Cindy.
Thank you so much, Peter. I think this is one of the most fruitful conversations we've had because it centered around our rights and responsibility. I'm going to continue to share the YouTube video of this. Let's get it to our people are putting in chat room with young people in it. And maybe it will point them in the direction of what they need to know and how to act, why this is important. Thank you so much, Peter. And thank you. Sorry for being late. God bless. Good night. All right, I'm gonna finish with this with Machiavelli story right here. I will go ahead and finish that. Peter, thank you so much. Thank you for being patient also. Yeah. So, folks, thank you for all of you who tune in. I see people I post about Musa staying focused and keep pushing, and people are not questioning me. You no longer believe in Mr. Cummings, and here. I don't believe that was the essence for which I wrote that. I can do two things at the same time. Okay, I sure can. So yeah, I go. I'm gonna play this. Oh, I actually had it here. So here is Marco Foley, and I'm gonna go into Peter. Then I'm gonna close this. I gotta go finish cooking. I gotta go sit down and do some. Yes, I promised that lady I'm gonna have it done, so I need to go get it done. Okay. That's not what I was trying to do. Is this? No. Where is this? Okay, I didn't pull this. Again, I have no copyright to this video. I'm gonna pull it from somewhere where it does not have all of these faces, but this one's another lady on it. Okay, I'm just gonna give you a gist of that really quickly.
Can build big without
Okay.
a mega
don't have any
project no one
copyright to
saw
this,
coming.
okay?
The brand new John Magufuli Bridge, stretching 3.2 kilometers across Lake Victoria, is now the longest bridge in East and Central Africa. But here's the real shocker. It cost $300 million, and Tanzania built it without a single loan, without a penny of debt, and without foreign aid. In a continent where big projects usually depend on the World Bank or IMF, this is a game changer. On June 19th, 2025, thousands gathered at sunrise to witness history. From the morning mist, the bridge appeared like a giant steel spine across the water. Children climbed rooftops. Fishermen left their boats. Traders abandoned their stalls. Everyone came just to watch the first cars roll across. For decades, people relied on ferries that were slow, unreliable, and dangerous. Now, what once took hours by boat takes just 4 minutes by car. For traders, farmers, and truck drivers, that difference is life-changing. And beyond transport, this bridge
So did you guys hear that? It takes now 4 minutes. So you understand the impact that that bridge is going to make, right? That's how you plan. There is to go across Lake Victoria, the impact that that's going to make, not just on people, but financially. So when we're thinking, that's how we must think. That's how we must think. Africa, that's how we must think. That's it. Let me say good night. All right, let me go get some things done.